subtracting real numbers. Well, what if I had -5? Now remember we talked about if you have -5, that means you owe 5, right? And then I take away that debt. I subtract the -5, meaning, what does that mean? It actually means that I pay it back, right? That's the same thing. So if you imagine -5 is being, this looks like -5, right? Just -5 symbols. If I take away that -5, what's left? Nothing. If I take it away, there's nothing left. This equals 0. Okay, so -5 minus -5 is 0, which means that that's the same thing as -5 plus 5. Okay? Now, some of you say you have kids. Have you ever seen a kid like throw a temper tantrum? Daily. Okay. So imagine your kid says you're trying to make your kid go to bed. I'm not going to not go to bed. What did the kid just say that they're going to do? They're going to go to bed. So when you see this double negative, a double negative like this becomes a positive. A double negative becomes a positive because it cancels itself out. It's just like when you say I am not going to not do something, you're actually canceling yourself out and you're actually going to do it, right? So anytime the rule for subtraction is to change subtraction to add the opposite. Okay, so another way of saying this is keep, change. So let's try another one. -10 minus -5. Instead of having that minus and negative there, we're going to keep change. So we're going to keep the -10. -10 is what you owe. You're taking away 5 of that you owe, so you're essentially paying 5 back. So we go add the opposite. Add the opposite, or keep the first one, change the second, change the sign of the second number. So this becomes -10 plus 5. What's -10 plus 5? -5. You still owe 5. Okay? Let's say we have $10. We're going to subtract -6. Well, basically, you can think about this. Your account balance was $10. What would happen if you spent $6 on pens and then you returned them? You'd get your $6 back. So you're taking away that -6 that you owed. You see that? So you're getting it back. So the keep change becomes keep the 10, change. 10 plus 6 equals 16. So this would be like a return of an item. Okay, a return is subtracting a negative. All right, what about this one? 10 minus 6. What's 10 minus 6? It's 4. It's actually also the same thing as 10 plus -6. Anytime we're subtracting, it's money that we owe, right? So 10 plus -6 is the same thing. It's also 4. -20 minus 30. -20 minus 30. Any thoughts about that one? -50. Oh, you already know that because it'd be -20 plus -30 is the same thing. Add the opposite sign. So it's almost like that negative becomes, that minus sign is given to the 30. So here we have -50. And again, I have some flashcards here. So we can try out a few problems with the flashcards. 0. Do you see how essentially when you see that double negative, it becomes a giant plus sign. Okay? -6 minus -12. 6. Good. You see how the mental math can be helpful? Getting the practice. So you owe 18. Imagine if you were to take out 9 out of your account. negative 27, because that would become add a negative. This essentially, this negative belongs to the 9, okay, because it becomes keep, change, plus negative. What about this one? Negative 60, because you owe 30, you take 30 more out of your account. What would happen if you withdrew 30 more from your account? And this is the same problem as 30 plus negative 30. Yes. Negative 30 minus 30, yes, is negative 60, yes. So the 0 one looked like this. It had negative 20 minus negative 20, right? If you take away negative 20, now you're at 0. Okay, what about this one? Remember, the double negative basically becomes the opposite. It becomes a positive. 90 minus negative 50, 140, because this negative becomes a positive. What about 20 minus negative 20? 40. This one is 40 because, remember, we're just going to use this rule, keep, change. Keep the first one the same. Change to positive, changing this sign to add, changing this to the opposite sign. So that's 40. Okay, so use add the opposite then. They basically mean the same thing.